foreigners. Good afternoon, and our fellow students and partners online, good afternoon too. Today, it's basically a very, very casual session that we want to talk to all of you. And it's also our great honor to have Dr. Hunaid Nulwala here to talk to us about his story and his life. So I have been knowing Hunaid for quite a while, and I respect him as a very good friend and of course, great intelligent scientist. Very successful in starting new companies, entrepreneurship, and happy father of 2 great kids and great wife. All this good stuff. But there were one day I talked to Hunaid. I said, the reason why you were so successful is because probably you were the first generation and you had those desperation to make a better life for your kids, right? He said, wait. Actually, I was a second generation. My family had a very successful business back in Pakistan, and they always wanted me to either be an accountant or inherit the family business. So I was like, wow, okay, I didn't know that. And then he started to tell me his life, like how he supported himself without any financial resource from his family, and ever since he stepped into the land of the United States, and how he worked really hard to support himself and in a way eventually become who he is today. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me present you Dr. Hunaid Nulwala, and I will pass it on to him to talk about who he is. Okay.
Thank you, Rowena. This was a really good introduction, and I was not hoping that you would go into the story which I was heading to.
Oh, okay. I actually sent them a long email talking about it. Yeah, wow. So they basically, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Rowena and I have known each other for many years. And when she told me that there are a lot of young kids come here, and I've seen it many times that when we are coming to US, we really pay the way I was growing up was my parents were on my case all the time that my grades needed to be the best, right? And that's actually only part of the story. There is so much more in life. So before I go into any details, okay, let me ask you. Yeah. What's your name?
Vera.
Lira.
Yeah.
Vera or Lira?
Vera.
Vera.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you?
Wow.
What do you do? Who are you? Who are you? In two sentences, describe.
First, I'm the Chinese.
Okay.
I'm an employee in this company. I'm having a Chinese student.
And what do you think of yourself in next 5 years? What do you want to be? You don't have to answer. It's okay.
You all have a kid, right?
I don't know. Maybe I will be a more powerful woman. I don't know.
Like lifting a lot more weight. Being rich. is type of a power, fame is type of a power, right? So, I mean, let me ask that guy, like, I don't know your name.
My name is Bo.
Okay. So, Bo, what takes you?
What takes me?
Takes you, like, what gets you excited?
Doing sports,
Sports,
making money.
making money. Okay.
So he was an accountant back in Beijing, right?
Yeah.
Before coming to United States. So
Okay.
he's good at
Their accountant makes good money depending the type of accountant you are, right?
I was doing auditing.
You were doing auditing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the story, which I think I'm going to change because I had no idea what I was going to expect, right? Me and my brother, we both went and became accountants, let me put it this way. He got a CPA and now he's VP for PNC Bank, right? So he's in Pittsburgh. So he's doing exceptionally well. And I took a completely different route. And I'm doing not bad either.
Mhm.
Okay. And young lady, how do you define success?
Find success.
What is success in your mind?
Degree and maybe the position to a higher position.
Okay. That's one way of looking at life. Do you think it's all there in life?
After yeah. I don't know actually.
All right, let me go to.
Tap this. It's not working.
No, it's not. Okay. Let me tell you kind of like my story. Okay. My family actually, my dad was called the king of hardware. Like, you know what hardware is? Construction. Okay, so he built his business from nothing and he built a really large business. I was forced to become an accountant and I'm not. I actually had a job for 3 months and I hated it. After graduation. I convinced my dad that I like engineering and my dad was like, okay, I will let you go get a degree in engineering. So I went and got a degree in engineering, which is a 4-year diploma in extrusions and polymer processing, polymer science, things along those lines. And then he wanted me to open a polymer processing factory or take over the business. Okay. And I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave. Okay. I came to US and I only had money for the first quarter. So it was not a semester system, the school I went to at that time, it was quarterly based. So he only gave me money for 1 quarter. Okay. At that time, 1 quarter fees was 15,000. I brought 18,000 with me. Okay. And the first thing I did was came to US and bought a brand new car.
For how much?
18,000.
What? Okay.
So you have to make mistakes, right?
Then what did you eat at that time?
I was lucky. I mean, I was very cheap. Okay, ramen noodles are things to live off of, but I had a nice car.
They give you free meals because of the nice car?
No. I wanted to get a car, and then I went to get a car, and then I liked this car, so I bought it. You know, my mentality was, Dad is going to send me money, and he said, no. Let's put it this way. So I have a nice car, and I'm an F1 student. You know how hard it is being an F1 to get a job somewhere. So at that time, what I ended up doing was I used to take notes. So RIT has a very large program for deaf folks who cannot hear. So I became a note taker at that time. Other thing I started to do was I became a lab technician, and I used to drive a forklift.
Wow.
Okay.
Do we need another type of license to drive that?
It was done under the table.
Okay, okay.
I also got married, and I had my son while I'm in school. Okay, that's a really bad way to start. Okay. But in RIT, I actually was very outgoing. I was a good student. My professors really liked me. I made a lot of friends. That included pretty much any race, any background you can think of. And I'm really annoying. Okay, I'm very persistent and very annoying. So I needed a job. That's what it came down to. And there was this guy named Chuck D'Souza. Okay, and RIT has one of a very good co-op program. And I would show up in front of his office every day at 9 a.m. before he would walk in. And I'm like, Chuck, I need a co-op. Chuck, I need a co-op. He basically got me an interview. The interview was for an automotive engineer. Okay. And the person who's interviewing me, he's like, the only reason I'm interviewing you is because Chuck has been annoying me to give you an interview. And I'm telling you that you're not a good fit. He's just looking at my resume. And I told him, what do you know about me? I didn't say that. I said, I'm so much more than these two pieces of paper. That was quote unquote my words to him. And this is going on in the interview. So I'm like, I can do what you're asking the work to be done. And he's like, well, have you ever opened a car? And like, I used to race motorbikes in Pakistan, and I would put my own engine, and I had got my engine slipped, and I got a larger size bore in there, so I have more CC, like more power in a smaller engine I could pack. And I told him all those stories, and he's like, okay, that's the person I need, because we need to take all these car parts apart. And we need to figure out the chemistry, that what chemistry would work for it to clean better. That was the first project. And by the way, we have this robotic line, you need to dismantle it. And it had nothing to do with what I'm studying. Like, I'm doing Bachelor of Science in Polymer Chemistry. And I'm like, yes, I will do it. That was my start of the first co-op, which I didn't put it over here. But that story of how I got that first co-op is very important. And the thing is, we all create inhibitions in us. Like, for example, I would start talking to you, and your thinking in the background would be like, I have a Chinese accent, what the other person is going to think about me. I had a really thick Indian accent, and I would wobble my head too. Have you seen the Indian wobble head? No? I think you have.
Stereotype.
Yeah, and I would do that. And it's moving faster.
You're funny.
Okay, so, but the thing is, you don't have to, like, this is who you are. The other person is who they are. I mean, don't care too much. So, what paid off for me was a persistent pain, okay, in getting my first co-op. In that first co-op, I made connections. I was working with people who got me the second co-op, because it was a big company, and my wife is a US citizen while I was married, and she got pregnant, which was unintentional, okay, but things happen.
That's why you have a 16-year-old son.
17.
17, now I know. Cool.
But that connection got me a co-op at Kodak. Okay. And during that time, it takes about a year or so for the paperwork to kick in and all those things, right? But I got this co-op because I was able to do the first entry. I was also engaged with the local ACS chapter, and my main goal was to drink wine and eat cheese. Okay, it's really important. It's very important to engage yourself, put yourself out there, and sometimes you don't want to. And I think I can enjoy that personally, but I've seen so many people not being able to do that and being missed on opportunities. All right, so in all these points, when I had to make these decisions, I could have done that. That was the easier decision for me. I could have become a lab tech and decided to go back home and run my family business. Those were a lot more easier decisions, but every time I decided that that's not me, I want to do this. And I decided to do something completely different because it's a new experience for me. And it's not for everybody, it's my life story. And that's what I'm here to share with you guys, that this is how I think. And you guys may all think differently. But the key thing is, don't hold yourself. And it's okay, because the only thing lying right now for you guys is your time, right? You guys are all young, in early 20s, maybe 19,
30,
30. You said 30.
I'm 20.
31.
All right. I was just going to make you guys all 20 years old. But you guys are young, right? So, but we trade time for success. Okay. Most of you will die when you're going to turn what age? 100? Maybe 120? Right? Right. Okay. So you still have limited amount of time, no matter what you look at it. And the probability is always there. So you have to trade your time for whatever we do. So it's okay to be persistent. It's okay to have a vision about, and money is not everything. I would really tell you this. Okay. And as we move forward, so at Kodak, I met the most amazing people who literally groomed me, who brought the excitement of chemistry inside me. What it means to be a chemist, how to look at what I studied in college, how to connect those dots. One, when I cook, and according to my wife, when I cook, my kitchen is a disaster because I cook like a chemist, right? So, and when a chemist cooks, I want to have, every time I would pick is a new spoon. And I want to make sure that, I want to cook on cast iron because the higher heat capacity, so I can cook it at a lower temperature, but I can provide it more heat. Things like those, right? So it ends up being a lot of work for her, and then after I have to clean, and I'm like, I gave you good food, right? So, but this was a really good experience. At this place, I was encouraged to go after my PhD. But I decided not to do that. I went to GE. Okay, and it was a terrible place to work. That being said, I learned a lot over there too. The money was better than Kodak, a lot better. Okay, but it's not worth. Money is not always worth if you are working with terrible people. So that's what I learned over there. And again, I could be lab tech, go back home. This option was there, and this was the time when about my dad passed away. So this was about the time when they really wanted me to come back and take over the business. And I decided I'm not going to do that. And that caused the business to completely disappear. And I remember that I told my mom that I'm going to go back and I'm going to get a PhD. And my mom got really mad at me, okay? And her quote unquote word is that I'm going to, so I had one kid, and she's like, you will not even provide food for him. That was her words to me, and I'm like, no, mom, I will figure it out. I just want you to have a believe in me that I will figure things out. So when you go to PhD, okay, and that's a talk I had with maybe one of Andrew too. There's a cost associated with it when you go to a PhD. The cost is you're paid like $24,000 a year, right? It can take you 5 years. So, after a master's or a bachelor's, you can make 65, 70,000. I'm just doing a basic math number, right? So 25 times 6. Okay, that's, you can just kind of do that. It's like $150,000 net earned income gone. Also, that experience you would work in an industry is gone. So plus, when you're going to get back out of your PhD, you have to catch up on that lost earnings and lost whatever you did. So you never go and get your PhD because you want to make more money. That's a terrible idea. You need to go and get PhD because you're driven by doing something else. It is not a money maker, I promise you. Okay. Now, I am not going to stop living, right? It means that I'm 33 years old at that time. I wanted to have another kid. I am going to live. I mean, career is important. That brings me to the other question. Okay, so somebody here said to get a good position and make money. Okay, so how do you put value on success? How do you define success? Anyone?
Well, to me, I would say success has two layers. Number one is I find my own fulfillment in my life journey that brings me joy and happiness. In another sense, I have positive influence to others. It can be not necessarily economical influence, but I better have that, and social influence.
I think
Maybe
that's
something that we can help, we can serve. That's great.
So let me just take your comment and turn it into another way. If you're making $500,000 a year and you're making $2 million a year, how is your life difference? How would that change your life? Not going to change. Pretty much, you will live. You can afford any travel. You can afford any car. Maybe you will have a smaller house, but that's about it. Doesn't change your bottom line. Okay, so there is a book I would highly recommend if you guys are into reading, Factfulness. Okay.
The name again? Sorry.
Factfulness.
Okay.
In that book, I'm trying to remember the author's name. It's kind of escaping me. He talks about, suppose you have no shoes. Okay, you have no shoes. Nobody has any shoes. And you get your first pair of shoes ever. Okay. What is it's economics theory, right? Basically your satisfaction starts to go down as you have more and more supply of something. Okay. So the way one can start, and then I'm talking about like taking the marketing out of your head, right? So, but what fulfills your need? That's the first question. So if something fulfills your need, is that good enough? Sometimes we want to feel like a, Armani bag or a Gucci bag or something along those lines, which it's okay, that's fine. I mean, what type of feeling is that feeling, right? The point is to carry something. that the $20 bag can do. So why do I need $1,000, a $1,500? I've actually seen one which is 23,000. And I'm like, okay, you know, somebody has lost their mind. That was my view. But my wife said, I don't understand women. So, and to be fair, okay, SEL passed by in my head. Hey, look at that car. It's like, you know, it applies on everybody, right?
You don't understand boys, right?
So, but the point is, Ford Focus does what a Mercedes 530 SEL does. It gets me from point A to point B. It's reliable. It has an air conditioning unit. I can connect my phone to it. I can go 400-mile radius. So maybe the comfort level is slightly different, but is that price difference of $150,000 car versus a $19,000 justify that? Okay, so those are the type of questions I tend to ask. And I'm going to go, and the reason I'm trying to bring it is, for me, going to a PhD was not about making more money. It was opening more doors. Okay, and what I mean by opening more doors. When I was at GE, I invented something, and my name was not put on that patent. Okay, and that bothered me. That being said, when you invent something in a company, it has monetary $0 value. Okay, it means nothing. And when I went and I said, hey, you know, I invented, and this is when you don't have a PhD, and why does it matter? That was the answer I got. Okay. While I was at Kodak, you know, they were pushing me to get my PhD. Here I was I was put into a piece. I would not get to lead a project. Right? So that opened the door for me to be more than who I am. It's not about money. It's about the freedom for me, for personally me, it was about freedom to have an idea and to pursue it and make other person listen to me, right? But it is not true for everybody. Okay. So the PhD time was amazing. I went to Santa Barbara. I had an admission in UC Berkeley and I didn't go there. The only reason was, one, the girls were beautiful in Santa Barbara. Well, that was one of the reasons. The other reason was it was much nicer environment to be. I was right on the beach. I rode my bicycle every day. I was 30 pounds thinner than I'm in Pittsburgh. You know, it was a lot of fun. I would go for surfing every 2 days. Okay, I lived a life which I kind of only dreamed about, but I got to enjoy it for 5 years and I did really good work. And as soon as I was done with my PhD, that life was gone. Okay? Because you cannot afford to live in Santa Barbara with, you know, $150,000 job either. It's just too expensive. The deal was with UCSB, they gave me housing and the childcare was $150 a month for me. You know how much it costs a single child. And my stipend was $1,850 a month. Okay, and my rent was $700 a month. So I still had $1,000 to live off. Right? That's a lot of money because your two major needs were taken care of by the university. And the health and everything was covered by them. So for me, I was living an amazing life. So again, the question of money becomes, is it really that important? It's a dollar sign, right? I mean, yeah, I won't be buying a Gucci purse with that money, but that being said, I had time. I was surfing every day. I had amazing food every day. I was riding my bicycle every day. I didn't have a car. And I really enjoying it, right? So I had a job offer from Texas when I graduated. I could have stayed in California. Maybe you guys have heard of a company named APU, APEEL. If you have listened to the news, it is like the largest startup thing happening right now. Okay, a lot of my friends jumped that I couldn't. They were the starting founders of that company. There is another company, Ulaplex. Have you guys have your hair treated recently? No? Have you heard the name of the company, Ulaplex? This company just won settlement against L'Oreal for $150 million only for Great Britain. And that was started by a friend of mine and my advisor. Okay, so, but they could do that, but I couldn't. That's a separate story because I had this offer at NETL to be a postdoc. And again, it was not about money. If I had gone to Texas or if I stayed in California, I would have made a lot more money. I mean, literally a lot more money. I decided to be a postdoc. I think I like living poor. Okay. I'm not kidding. Okay. But the reason for my thinking was that it was a place where I could do whatever research I wanted to do. I could grow in the area I wanted to grow. And I was able to make an area which was not there, and that ended up meaning that I became the task technical coordinator for advanced materials at NETL. And that's a really important position because I got to oversee hundreds of millions of, not hundreds, sorry, hundreds of projects which were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, and I got to integrate that research into a focused way of putting it together, and that was a very satisfying position. And that kind of spilled into CMU, where I did that, right? And then I think I lost my mind. I think I turned 40 years old and I hit midlife crisis. And I told my wife I'm quitting. And she's like, you are crazy. And it was not great. I was scared, really scared. But the point is, this is what drives me, right? If I just keep doing this, then I'm not growing personally. For me, it's my personal growth is a lot more important. It's my passion, and it's my achieving my own self. And I felt like CMU was a great place to work, amazing place to work, but I could never. So a lot of professors start dealing with their companies, and they are still professors. And those companies die a lot of time because as founders, they are not willing to leave with help grow their findings because they are not willing to take that jump. Okay, so for you guys, right? I mean, I know a lot of young people. You guys are young. You guys don't want to have kids for many years, right? And you guys have grown. Most of you are single child, right? You guys don't have siblings. Is that true? Okay. And I think that is very common, which is happening all over the world. But there is going to be a time in your life when you guys will have kids. So then the question becomes, what are you going to leave for them? Okay, so maybe the lady on the Supreme computer.
I'm sorry, I was getting by the customer's message.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
she's our like a 724 customer service.
Okay.
So she's really taking this opportunity to be here, but on the way she has to be on.
We switch to the guy in the blue jeans shirt. Yes.
I don't have a kid. I can't imagine that. But I think best for him or her will be I can support him or her to do whatever they want and go wherever they want. 'Cause, that's what I want.
Okay, that's what you want. What about you?
Me?
Yeah. What do you want to leave? I know these are very hard questions to ask at this age, but
Trying to be friends with them.
friends with them. Okay. And when you die, what do you want to leave? What do you want to? What would be a legacy? It's a really hard question. I know. What is your legacy?
My friends.
Like, your legacy would be that you were friends with your kids.
Oh no, I mean like with my friends, and when I die, take care of my.
All right. That's. I mean, that's something so it means you have really good friends, right? Okay, awesome. How about you, leading black? Yeah.
Just like you just mentioned, there are so many doors open to us. But in my life, I always realize that, I have so many barriers as a foreigner here. So what I want to leave my children is that I want them, or I want him or her to find more doors than me. Yeah, in her life. Yeah.
I think that's a really good answer, right? I respect that.
That means you're ready for a kid.
I don't know. I think it's at least, we all are thinking, right? I mean, in the back of our mind, we do think. And then when we look at, how many of you talk to your parents on monthly basis? Monthly, at least a month, once a month at least. Okay. You guys don't talk to your parents.
No, about once every 2 months.
Once every 2 months, and you?
Only during the holidays.
Okay. How many of you, because when I look at kids to parents ratio, so China has 6 parents for every kid, right? So if that's the case, you have 6 parents. If you look up, and a lot of them, I'm assuming a lot of them are still alive. And then you have aunts and uncles, because it's Chinese culture. In the old days, used to be very much like Indian culture, like your dad's mom and brothers and their sisters, or uncles and aunties, or something along those lines, right? And then your grandparents would still have, they would make you sit with old people. I'm assuming it's still true. At least, right? So, how do they see you? Have you ever thought about it? If you think about a gene pool, right? What has happened with their genes? Okay. How many of your background is sciences? Not much. Okay. How many of your background is marketing and business? Okay. All right. So when you make a bet, right? So you would understand that language. When you have to make a bet, how many bets you are supposed to make? So you have the same cost to make a bet, and you're allowed to make 20 bets, and you have a lot of money to make as many bets as you can do, but you can only make 20 max. How many bets you're going to be making? all 20, right? Right, you are right. But now suddenly you only get to make one choice. What would be the fear for a parent? Because what are they leaving after they die? Is you guys, right? And they're not going to live here forever. So they didn't got to make a lot of bets. They only got to make one bet. And they decided to pour everything they got is on you. That's the way you can think of it, right? So in my case, the reason I am the way I am, my parents got to make 4 bets, right? So
Okay. Yeah, at least your brother
Yeah,
stays the
he-
way they wanted, right?
yeah, you know, and then
Then you get to escape.
so. But in your case, it's different, and I understand that, and I also respect that. Okay.
very
So you know, in my case, my responsibilities were cut in 1/4. Your responsibilities are different, and I also understand that. So your stakes are higher because you know your expectations are also high, and I respect that too. So, you know, that being said, it is still your life, okay? The only thing any parents would want you to go as you move forward is you to be successful. So don't hold yourself back. Okay, if you have to go on and make a crazy move, I mean, when you're young, you are more and more likely to do that. This was literally, I lost my mind. I was so depressed. I was depressed because it was boring. I would go in as a 38-year-old man, and I would sit there and like, same thing. I would write the same proposals, and it's a meeting. What else? Okay, it is the funding, and then people would knock on my door. I need funding for this student, this student. That was every day. I mean, I didn't get to do anything exciting, right? That's not what I want. I mean, if you look at all this, it doesn't show that's who I am. I am is not that. I'm not a bureaucrat. To know that who you are, it's important. Okay. So I want to leave a cleaner world when I die. That's pretty much what I want to do. I want to leave a better world. I want to leave a world when my kids would look at it and they would say, oh yeah, you know what? My dad had a hand in this. And money comes. So the money will always show up. You know, I'm assuming there are no Americans here in this whole, right? So
Maybe online, yeah.
right? So when you think about it, right? So when you look at a country like China or India, your history is 5,000 years, easy. Right? How many rich people went and gone? It will happen. That's fine. But people remember when somebody has left a legacy, not money. And that's what drives me. So for me, as a chemist, I see this, right? If I take these pictures out of environment, are you guys going to live without brushing your teeth? No. She said yes. No. Okay. You guys will use all of your shampoos. You need your pills, whatever, right? We have, I need my M&Ms, which is coated, and or your cars, your tires, the clothing you're wearing, right? That's a chemical cost. As a chemist, that's what I can talk. That's what drives me, right? So when I'm wearing this, I have every time, even when I'm taking a shower, I have chemicals on me, which are man-made chemicals and not even naturally made. no matter what you do, when you turn on your water faucet, there is copper plating on there, or there's chrome on there, or when you open your glass door, it has plastic sheeting in there. When you have your chalking done in your bathrooms, right? So it's a huge impact in your life, which is coming from sciences, right? So, and that has a cost associated here. And that is huge cost. Okay. So for me, I want to do something where I can keep that as well as improve on this, and that would be something I would see as worthwhile. And money will come; it always shows up. If you have a good drive, it will show up. If you're just following money, then it's not satisfactory. Okay. So this is the second company, right? Which is about corrosion. Okay, so whatever is made out of steel or stainless or whatever, it will corrode. So if you have a bridge, right, and you can increase the lifespan of that bridge by 2 times, what does that mean on terms of like CO2 emissions? That's my base thinking. How would that improve life in the long term? 100 years to spend, right? So I'm not going to live that long. Maybe I will. But how would something which lasts longer is going to have a positive impact on the people as well as on the overall environment? I want to be able to enjoy a clean, beautiful beach, right? If there is just plastic cups floating in the beach, I mean, I'm pretty sure none of you can enjoy it. Maybe Bahamas or when Trinidad has like a problem where it forms a current and all the garbage basically comes on the Trinidadian beach. And that beach is beautiful, white sand beach, but it's ruined just because how the ocean moves. Right? So we have to pay attention to those things. I mean, everything we do, tiny steps we make, like, I was telling Rowena that I only wear clothes like these, okay? And the reason I wear clothes like these are my very functional clothes. I mean, actually, I have to show you a couple of these.
Wow.
So
you haven't shown me that.
I haven't showed you this. Okay, so the reason I picked these particular pens, they are auto bleed.
Oh.
Okay, so they have vents built into them. They have a vent here, they have a vent here, see?
Right.
So when I'm walking, it actually pulls in air and it keeps me cool right there, which is important for me. But I have very few of these pens and I pay money for them, but I don't have a wardrobe full of, right? So I have, when you walk in my wardrobe, my stuff is literally would fit in 3 feet. And then, so it's actually a walk-in closet. And then the rest is filled in my wife stuff.
But you have a fancy car, that's very nice.
I have a Focus.
Okay, you have.
I have a Focus. I can afford a nice car, but I won't. And there is again the cost, which I think about, which comes down to this, right? Same thing goes for my clothes, right? So when I buy a clothes, my shirts can be fairly expensive, but I'm going to make sure that it's going to last me a few years. So I don't like to buy things out of Walmart, but that's me. Okay, if you talk to a person who is living on like $10 an hour type wage, right? So for them, meeting their basic need is a lot important. I also don't like tags on my clothes, right? So I think on this one, maybe I have a tag, it's, yeah. And then other clothes, I would try my best to find clothes with no tags. It's just because I don't want to turn into somebody's marketing tool, it's just me. And that being said, these changes have come in like last 3 years, okay? I used to be traditional classical consumer. Okay, so and it's just that I think I'm changing or getting more and more crazy. So, how many of you are in college?
Are in college, maybe those for online.
One, maybe two. And are you all done with college? Yeah. Okay. When you went to college, right? How would you define your overall experience in college? The one who are done with college, okay, who are still in college. What was the take-home message when you were done from college?
No, whatever.
Whatever comes. I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong.
Knowledge you got.
Huh?
Knowledge.
Okay. So that would be you grew intellectually, right? You learned something new. So that's a very important portion. Okay. Have you been applying it in everyday life?
Part of it,
Part of it. What was your major, if you don't mind?
psychology.
Psychology. Okay. Have you already analyzed me?
I test some on my kids.
You have tested it on your kids. Okay. What about you?
Like, am I happy? Am I very
No. What did you got out of your college experience?
what I got? So I learned something from the professors and I have experienced college life and I made some friends and like it just a good experience.
And when you were done with college, when you were done, right? Suppose if you wouldn't have gone to college, how would your life be different? What would you have done besides?
I wouldn't have met my husband then.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here.
Okay. So, what does it tell us about a college life? What is a college life?
I'm not sure what is college life.
It's a stepping stone, right, to the next phase. College life is a stepping stone to the next point in your life. And as your life is diverse, right? So we go there to develop ourselves intellectually. We go to college to build better relationships. We go to college so we can experiment with things. We can do a lot in a very controlled environment, right? We go there because if you're going to college, you can get an internship. So it's not like, it's not a real job, but you can gain value out of it, right? You learn about solving problems because in a college life, you may be involved in like some committee or something which is fun, but you're or learning how to organize this, or you end up meeting with people who are not like you at all, right? And it ends up being a stepping stone because when we are in our homes, when you're in high school, everybody is like almost like you. Let's put it this way, or almost like me. Or speaking the same language, doing the same things, belonging to the same similar culture, eating the similar food. When you go to college, especially in US, right? It's out of whack, right? None of that applies. So that's why the education in US becomes valuable because you get to experience so many things at once which I couldn't have never experienced in Pakistan if I had gone to engineering school in Pakistan or somewhere else. Even in Japan, right? 99% of the kids are Japanese, and then you have that 1% who is not. And it's very hard because they have their really tight culture. In US, that's not the case. That's why we come here or we go to Canada, newer countries where the culture is not that set. And it's a lot more easier to, or Australia, right? These three countries, that's what most of us look at. That allows us to develop unique problem solving skills because we are learning about. So, how many of you have met a Pakistani before? Huh? Uber driver, okay. What about that? What somebody else? No. You know, we are neighboring countries.
Neighboring countries. Of course, right? Everybody.
We are neighboring countries, okay. You know, Pakistan and China are considered like, what do you call it? What's the word? Blood friends or something? Whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
It's bloody friends or
Yes.
for life.
Oh, friends for life, right?
Yeah.
Right. And but how many Chinese I met before coming to US? One, right? In Pakistan. That's it. So I actually had no exposure to Chinese people. I heard a lot. That's it. You guys may have heard first time a Pakistani speaking this way, except being an Uber driver. Okay. But that's what a college education gives you. Now let me ask you this. How many of you are taking advantage of this? Who are in college? Yeah. You are, right?
Yeah, I'm not in college, but I've taken a lot of advantages from the college. Like, I've broadened my horizon when I was in FK. And I also learned some like problem solving skills, and like how to assemble the IKEA furniture. It's a part of like a problem solving skill, right?
Yeah.
And I did an internship when I was a student. During the summer break, I was an intern at program. That's the reason I got into program after graduation. So I have to say that I've been a lot.
You've been a lot, right? And I'm assuming that if you have tried to build better relationships, develop problem solving, work experience, and then develop yourself intellectually, it doesn't matter where you end up. Those are the things you should always focus on. So whatever I'm doing right now, okay, in my life, I'm using my business education still. I'm using my engineering education. I learned a lot about how to be a bureaucrat while I was working for DOE. So I'm excellent in doing like program management and things like those. My classical training is of a researcher. Right? I developed. So this is a really funny story. Okay. How many of you have passed out when you were going to give a talk? None, right? That was me. I was afraid of speaking in public.
Really?
Okay, nobody, and it was so bad that when I was in early stages of my life, I had a fear of going in front of people. Right? So I would not talk. I would be this quiet person, just not me who I am now. And I had to build myself, right? It's kind of like a muscle you have to develop in yourself and basically keep doing the things which were a little bit uncomfortable. Like I would say, oh, I don't like this, and then I would sleep. try to do it because I could see that that's what I need to gain. College allows you to do that in a very safe environment. Yeah, the only thing matters your grade, but everything else kind of falls in. So Rowena asked me, hey, what do I look? I get resumes from a lot of kids. Many times I ask them this question, have you ever tried to change tires on your car? Okay, you have? Awesome. Who else has changed their car tires? Raise your hands. 2, 3. Okay, who has changed their car brakes? No. How many of you have changed oil in your car? Huh?
I was about to.
You're about to. Okay, well, that is good. Okay. How many of you have taken a faucet apart at home and then put a new one? Faucet, like a water faucet. It's leaky, or you open it up and put a new washer or something. How many have leaky faucets at home? Right? I mean, things break. So I asked this question, and the reason is I'm trying to gauge the answer. At that point is how willing are they to get their hands dirty? Okay. And when you do something like this, which is kind of feels like, oh my God, I have to do this. It tells me something about their thought process. I really look into that. It tells me that if there is work, right, and they need to do it, and they are going to see that work beneath them, and I don't want to hire that person. I literally, my first gut feeling is I don't want this person, because tomorrow, at work something happens. Is this person going to roll their sleeves up and say, all right, let's get this thing done? And if they cannot answer me that question, that's a problem. So there's an attitude portion which I kind of evaluate. And for me, that becomes like the 50% of the reason why I would bring somebody in. Okay, can they get along with others? I mean, not every person you end up working with has the same way of looking at things. Somebody may be Trump supporter working right next to you. Right? I mean, you guys are very fortunate that you guys are of the similar background here. Right? You all are migrant Chinese, but that's not always the case, right? So how would you get along with that person? How would you tolerate somebody like that who doesn't see eye to eye with you? Other thing which I look into it is the work I'm providing you, or is it exciting for you? Are you going to be miserable working with me, or you're going to be excited working with me? That's a key factor for me. If I can read that you are going to be miserable, even though you have all the skills and you have the best resume, I don't want you. Right? So if the person I say, hey, I'm in Pittsburgh, oh, Pittsburgh, right? Because I mean, I don't want that, because I don't want you to be miserable with me. It's not about. It's more about you being happy at work and you coming to work seeing as your own work and taking ownership of that work. And for that, you have to be happy about it. If you don't have that, then I think it's not a good match. That's for me. Okay. as a small company, right, my projects are changing all the time, right? And it is getting more and more true nowadays because of automation and AI and robotics, that the type of work you get is changing at a much faster pace than it would. Like a factory worker in like 20 years ago would be only putting like wheels on a car, and it's like, okay, 8 hours of wheel putting in and go home, right? That's a miserable job. One for me, I would think, but a lot of people still want those jobs, right? So, but I would rather get a robot who would do that, and that's coming. Okay. I want to see how flexible you are in your learning, and I'm going to hit that point later in later slides. This is important. You want to show that you are not a 4.0 GPA. So if I get a resume which is 4.0 GPA, I've already have like I'm asking myself a question. What did he do with his life? I'm not kidding.
I had a 4.0, come on.
I mean, I'm not, I mean, but okay, all right. You may have other things to show for it, right?
Right.
But if I get a 4.0 and their resume says, 4.0 GPA, this, and then not involved in a swimming team or nothing, it's like empty. That means this person only knows how to read books and solve problems in a book. It means he is not going to be able to work here. If you are a 4.0 GPA and you are part of a rifle team or doing something else and you build something else, oh my God, I want this person, right? Or somebody who was also doing internships and they have other expertise, or was somebody who was working. So if I have a choice, I would prefer somebody who has a little bit of work experience and have a 3.7 GPA. Okay. It's still high, yeah. Or 3.6 is still okay. I can still go to 3.5, but they are more interesting. They have actually taken apart their car and then put it back together. But they will be a lot more preferred than the other one, right? So the point I'm trying to make over here is any repetitive work is not going to be there. That's like, I think you guys are already seeing it, right? Anything which can repeat itself, it can be complex repetition, that work is gone. Okay. So types of jobs, what we end up doing over there. We basically think about problems and we think about what are the biggest problem, and then we write proposals and we beg the government to give us money. And she knows about my second company because we are not raising any private funding. So, and then we start working on it, and it changes day to day because we're trying to solve a problem that there is no answer. So any problem where we have answers, it just doesn't work. Okay, so this is what I call is people call you thinking outside the box, right? So you've heard that saying. It's an American saying, thinking outside the box. This is how it looks like when you think outside the box. Okay, I want you guys not to have a box. Have your whole vision open, because opportunities are usually not in this tunnel vision, right? If you're trying to look outside the box, that's how you're seeing. You can always, at your age, you guys are, you can be a trailblazer. Are you guys familiar with the word trailblazer? Trailblazer. Okay. It's means that you have to trail, right? So when there's a lot of grass, so in the old days, what they would do is they would blaze it to make a trail. And then when the people would walk over it, the grass and the trees would grow on it, right? So that's a trail creator. So you can blaze your own trail, meaning you should be able to create your own path. University, okay, and that's my critique about the university education firms. Okay, they put a box around you. You will call yourself an engineer. You will call yourself a marketing executive. I should go to the next one. Okay, accountant, banker, something along those lines. So that's why I asked you, who are you? And so I'm glad, because when I go and talk to people about this, they, oh, I'm a chemical engineer. And all right, nice to meet you, Mr. Chemical Engineer. You know, and some of them will call them a chemist. I mean, you have a chemistry training, doesn't make you that's not your identity. That's the knowledge you carry. You are a lot more than that. I like this cartoon. This is what a university does. Okay, it makes you think never to think outside of a box. So, you know, when you have a little box for the cat, so that's the thing, right? So you are putting a box around yourself and nobody has, but the way university education has started, or what it's doing. In the old days, and I've been very lucky, and that's why I put a lot of value on my Kodak experience, right? I was mentored for a very long time with very, very good people. And I learned so much from them. But in a university, classic university educational environment, what ends up happening to us is that we are taught to be a part in a larger machinery. We are taught that I'm an engineer, I need to be able to fix this. So now you become a part and you move as a part from one organization to the other organization to the other organization. So try to seek, you know, mentors, and we will talk about that too, okay? Be open, be uncomfortable, it's okay. You know, make a harder decision many times, especially as you are young. When you're getting old, you know, then you have to get conservative. When you're young, you can take chances, really big chances. It pays off. And this is my last one again. I have seen kids who would cry if they don't have 4.0 GPA. I mean, oh my God, you're not going to die, man. You know, it's 3.95. It's not 4. Okay, that is inherently imperfect, right? Know when it is something is good enough. How many of you have like taken business and marketing classes? Not you. Viable product, minimum viable product. What is that? Okay, minimal viable product is any product where somebody will pay you money. Okay. If somebody pays you money, is it good enough? Minimum viable product. So when you're developing a product, so okay, which is a better car, a Mercedes or a Ford? Mercedes, right? But which is the minimum viable product? It's Fiesta, right? It gets a job done. So that's a minimum viable product. You have to have a view about life as a minimum viable product. Because after that, the additional effort you put in, the rate of return is not the same. It's a supply and demand type thing, right? So you have, you know, I would say, and this was my, you know, because I had to work 40 hours And that's my GPA was 3.38 when I graduated. Okay. I had a kid at home. I was working 40 hours and I was taking full-time classes. So the question became for me was, I have this much homework to do. I have this many questions to do. They want to answer everything. They want to do that bonus question is going to take me another 45 minutes or not. No, not doing it. These are the questions I'm going to get. It's going to get me a solid B. To get to a solid A, I need to spend 3 more hours. That used to be my math. Okay, because I'm just not going to spend that time because I have to still do the job and I'm going to be very honest, I love my sleep. Okay, so I have to have my 7 hours of sleep. So I'm not going to like put my health as per se to do something like this. I'm going to figure out where is the maximum return for the least amount of effort. Are you guys familiar with the saddle point? Right? So saddle point is, what is a saddle point? So you're putting exponential, y is the effort. Saddle point is an effort where you actually get the lowest amount of return for the most amount of work. You don't want that, you actually want the hump. And usually you want to push that hump with the lowest amount of effort at the highest amount of return. It's simple economics, right? So I would think in that regard. Okay, so for me to apply to a grad school, what is the minimum amount of GPA required to get to a grad school? That was my math. It was 3.4. I was off by 0.02 units, right? I didn't cry about it. I still was able to get in Berkeley. I was still able to get into UCSB because I had full work experience. I had reference letters which were so strong, and I had people calling on my behalf to the universities that you need to hire this person, or you need to give him an admission, right? So that was my strategy. 4.0 GPA is awesome. But think about it, if I was living a 4.0 GPA, I would never have a wife, I would never have traveled the way I had traveled, I would never have experiences I had. So being a perfectionist has a cost. So do the math, right? And then everyone's math is going to be different. Someone maybe that's what you want, okay? All right, so I think I've talked about this a lot. The only key point I'm going to make it is that look at the problem as it exists. Look at the process of solving a problem, not the answer. Okay. There's a whole step, but I think that can itself be fairly long. Okay, if I want to go over it. Here I want to, main thing I want you guys to think about is what do I mean by trust? Again, trusting yourself. What does that literally mean? How many of you, if I ask you that tomorrow you have to go to a podium, have the confidence to walk over a podium in not in the most fanciest clothes? Very few, right? How many of you are going to question yourselves? And it's okay to question, trust me, that's the thing. But you have to develop your trust on you, that who you are, what you are, and where you're comfortable one. And then you have to extend that trust to somebody who you can see as somebody who can mentor you. Okay, and then also because if you have trust on your own self, you will know what your weaknesses are. And many times when you have weaknesses, you actually find a partner or somebody who kind of like helps you overcome those weaknesses. You only want to find the most acceptable point of your weakness. Like not everybody is good at calculus, okay? Or advanced math, or whatever you're learning about, or somebody a terrible good grammar. I am it. absolutely. I like spelling mistakes. I'm terrible, right? So, and my kids make fun of me. Dad, you're a PhD. Your English should be like good. And like it is in chemistry, and I don't give a shit about it. That's what I tell them. And then they look at that, but that's not right. And I'm like, yeah, but I really don't care because I can hire English literature for $30,000 who will fix that for me. And then, both of my, and then, another one is, I think it might, you guys might not get it. So what is the difference between a third and a third? You don't know, okay. What do you, when I say it's a third, what do you mean? What do I mean? There's a minor change in how I pronounce it. There's a tiny change. Okay, a third and a third. One is number 3, other one is poo-poo. Right, okay, so, and the thing is, like, when we say we are not distinguishing that.
Yeah, you're not aware of the differences, right?
How you pronounce them. So one is THIRD, other one is THURD. Right, so two completely different meanings. When we say it, and I'm aware of it, right? So I have a really good vocabulary. I was in the library, and the kid came in, and I said, "Can you press third?" And he starts shuffling. I'm like, let's press third. And this time I made sure that he heard it. And then my son over was like bragging about it, like, Dad. And then, I looked at the kid and like, press third. And then he goes and press third. In his like, so I'm not going to be like apologetic on how I pronounce. I'm just not. I will try to convey my message, but it's who I am. I mean, I accept that. Other one is, you guys are in a good environment. A lot of you have the similar type of weaknesses, but the goal of spending time with each other is to support and learn how do you get over those weaknesses, then to create a cocoon. It should not be that. And I used to have a lot of Chinese postdocs, okay? Out of all those Chinese postdocs, I have really good relationship with one. And the reason is that most of my Chinese postdocs would, at the lunchtime, have the Chinese lunch group, right? And we would all have, we would go to the lunchroom when I was at MPR, and they would sit on a separate table, right? You can sit on the same table, nobody's talking to you. You can still talk in Chinese, nobody's talking to you. But there is a point of exclusion that starts to come. But there are few who walks out. And that is important, that sometimes, you want to keep yourself, but at the same time, make an effort in joining some other group to expand yourself, okay? Because that's where you're going to make connections. Okay. So the companies, I mean, we have raised over $8 million in federal funding. We have also raised, private funding on the lean shield side. We do okay. Okay. I mean, yeah. So I think I have asked a lot of questions from you. Now it's your turn.
Oh, this is a heavy mental exercise. I think you all feel the same way. Yeah, because I mean, Hunaid has asked a lot of great questions that we are asking ourselves. And yeah, it's your turn. I'll leave it to you. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Pepper. My question is, have your wife ever complained or fought with you because you made all those decisions for other people?
All the time?
Yes.
No, all the time. I mean, the great thing about my wife is, yes, she has fought with me, and the main reason she has fought with me is to make sure that I've thought through it. It was never about judging or not trusting me. There are two reasons to fight, right? One reason is to fight with the other person because they don't have trust in you. Right? The other reason is you're fighting with them so you make sure that they have thought through it. My wife has always fought with me every time, but to make sure that I have thought through the process. Right? It's important. It's actually important that your wife is or your spouse is not supportive. Because you can make up things in your mind which are sometimes not true. So you need that, how many of you do yoga? You do yoga, okay. All right, so do you know the philosophy of yoga? Huh? Mindfulness, it's garbage. It's a garbage, okay? You guys know yin and yang, right? Yoga is basically an inner struggle between you, right? So when you breathe in, if you hold your breath, you have to breathe out. If you breathe out, you have to breathe in. It's a fight. You just cannot stop breathing. Right? So Americans just kind of put a really nice spin here. When you're stretching yourself this way, you're pulling this way, and this side is stretching. So what is it doing? It's putting you into a position where you have internal struggle. Okay, and when you're taking a pose, or when you're trying to push your hands up, or chaturanga is a one, right? Your hands are down, you're pushing yourself up. So there is a thought behind it that you're supposed to be breathing out, but you're not supposed to breathe in. And then when you push yourself up, you breathe in, and then when you're pushing yourself up, you're breathing out. And so why is that? There is a lot deeper philosophy than this. So we do it for physical strength and all those things, but the main point is that you have a struggle always going on inside you. If you are awake for too long, you have to go to sleep. If you're sleeping too long, you cannot get up, or you have to get up, right? Or you won't be able to go to sleep very well the next day. There isn't always a struggle one after the other which comes in. So the point is that you need that partner to fight with you.
Wow, that's deep. This is Jane, and
What does it mean?
Jane, you like
I will try Jingwing.
Never mind, that's fine.
Okay.
I do have two questions. So the first one is, since you are asked several times, how do you define success? Because from our perspective, you're already very successful. So do you think that you have already reached your success point?
Okay. I define success on a day-to-day basis. Okay. If you ask me when I was your age, I would have looked very, very successful. For me nowadays, success is having a good day. Okay. Make sure that nothing has gone wrong at this stage, right? At the same point, when you start to become successful, the fear of losing the success starts to creep in. Okay, and when you are not successful, you have no fear. It is very interesting to kind of look at. I think you have a psychology lady, where is she? Right. No.
She just has to.
She just has to, okay.
Yeah, she has to.
But there is a psychology of that. Right? So for me, okay, I take my success every day. In my success, I don't get disappointed very easy nowadays because I take success in very small steps. Success with something with my kid will make me happy. What I'm finding is if I get if I open 3 oranges and one of them is really really nice and sweet, I'm really super excited, right? That is good success. I have to enjoy out of 3, and I never open one. There is a reason, right? I mean, if you get just 1 orange, it sucks. So it's again, that growing apart. So yeah, it is different. I don't have a really good answer, but I can only say is actually I have a book for you. Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. Okay. So the first chapter is really inspiring, and where she talks about when she was young, people would tell her, what do you want to become? And she would say, or, somebody would say this or that. But she's finding that she's becoming still. That's the title of the book. Right. So I think that would be a good answer to that. But you're always growing.
Your second question?
Yeah, you have made many decisions that I've heard which is maybe for your parents' actions or what kind of business. But every time when you step out of your comfort zone, how did you make sure that this is what you would like to do, and that you can confirm you will stay in this path, you will regret or something?
That's an excellent question. There is a saying, and this was something one of my mentors told me was, there is no right or wrong decision. Okay, the moment you make a decision, only the results will dictate whether it was right or wrong. And the reason was because as I said, I was a very different person than I am now. I was very lucky to run into good people. Because when I would take too long to make a decision, that's also a decision. So you're better off making a decision and then go through it, and you don't reflect on the decisions once you're making. It's because you never know the path.
Do you have any
Sure. Very nice on the screen. That you can share with us.
Yeah, sure. So when I was starting my PhD, right? Before that, I never got into a position where I had to give a talk. This was my second week in my PhD program, and my advisor, who is actually a really high-ranking, he's like top 20 most cited scientists. He just asks me, hey, Hunaid, come here on the podium and can you draw this and talk about this? And I walk up there and I'm like, okay, shit, I have to talk to this full of people, and half of them are like professors, and I am sweating and I literally pass out. I passed out. Yeah. Next was I left, and for 2 weeks I was deciding whether I want to continue. Everybody else was 26 years old, and I was older. Right? Everybody was directly coming from school, and they had very different experiences than I had. So I was like somebody off. And I remember I was talking to my wife, and I was telling her, hey, I don't think I can do this. I want to quit. And she's like, well, when you want to quit, you can quit. But are you going to look back and say that you had a chance and you quit? That was the decision. And then what I did was I started to go to, there are Lions Club. Lions Club. There are also drama club. Okay, I started to go to those. Just show up, but listen how people would talk. I also started to sing in the bathroom.
That's a good one.
Yeah, just to just to see how I look when I'm talking, and be getting, because most of the time we don't see ourselves talking. Okay, and when we do, we are like getting so conscious and being okay with yourself that oh, this is how I talk. Okay, fine, and that helps.
I must say that you have a very good
She's not very good at that.
I hope she's not listening. Because this gentleman deserves it, right?
No, I mean, yeah, she is awesome.
Yeah, so one of the students asked for the major like biology and chemistry, and those kind of researching majors. So is a research project helps you better to get a job, or an actual internship helps you better?
An actual internship is many times better. And the reason is when you get a research project, you are just being a slave for your professor. I mean, it's good to have. My suggestion would be to have a research project in the school year. You know, kids are taking like 16-hour credit hours or something. They still have a lot of time on their hands, right? I mean, they can do 10 hours of research a week or something. Well, yeah, they should do that. But they should get like a real internship experience. And what that means is they know what it means to be in a working environment. Other thing I would say is they should definitely work while they're here, if they're allowed to work on campus. I think they are. Most of the international students are allowed to work on campus. I don't know how many actually work. And it's not because that it's about money. It's because it's exposure to culture and it's exposure to being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot to take in, huh? And I know a lot of students are online. I think we through this conversation, I think it's really a flowing conversation that's really helping us. And I would say the students must have seen a lot of things in common with you. They can connect with your experience, and they see themselves, see their futures in you. That's great, and it's not their fault to be born in a rich family.
No, it's not.
It's not their fault to have 6 guardians, just like as you said. It's even not their fault to be spoiled during their early stage of life of study. But I would say, I blame you if you settle in this situation. If you stop questioning who you really are and where are you going, and just constantly go out of the comfort zone to pursue what that is. There's no right or wrong, just as you said. There's no indefinite, the best life path that is for you, but it's a matter of the process that you are constantly question yourself on a daily basis. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this conversation, and I mean, even myself and everybody in here and online, and we definitely would love to pass this on to our future students and mentees and colleagues. I think this will be a very, very important lesson that they must learn. Thank you very much for your time today, and I hope we would have many more interactions. And we are also very, very proud that we have Hunaid as one of our most valuable mentors. And again, it's, as I said many times, it's really not about what the mentor can do for you. It's really about what you can do with your life, with the help of other people, with your mentors. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time, and we'll talk more. Thanks guys.